So while you were fighting wars and designer stores, buying Michael Kors, I was out here saving the world, wearing Tom's shoes and watching movies by Michael Moore. I love Scottie Pippen. But you probably like Michael Moore because you're trying to score all the rings in the ice galore. She'll turn on her squad for the diamond like Michael did in '94.
This is Tim Nelson from the Let's Talk Battle Rap podcast. Today we are doing a deconstruction episode with the boy Carter Deems. Carter Deems, man, thanks so much for taking the time and sitting down with me to go through your round.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. This is, I think we're going to do my Immaculate Battle, which is, it's kind of weird. I'm talking about my rhymes that my dad wrote for me. No, I'm just kidding. That's a little joke I thought I'd start off with.
You know what? Your second round here. Well, you know what? Before we even get into that, can you tell me how the battle was set up? I wasn't familiar with you until this battle with Immaculate came up, and then I feel like the whole battle rap community found out who Carter Deems was. So can you talk about how that battle came up? It was kind of a last-minute thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, well, up until that point, I'd been doing battle rap for about 6 years, I think, at that point. But my biggest battle was with, like, Boki Balboa the God, or, you know. So I don't know how many people were checking for that.
Right.
No slight against Boki Balboa the God.
Yeah.
I think we're still Facebook friends, so I hope we can stay that way.
Hey, now this is a fact that a lot of people don't know. Soul Khan's second last battle he ever did was against you.
Oh, that's right, I did. I battled Soul Khan pretty early on in my career, 2-on-2 tournament. I didn't realize that was his second to last battle, but yeah, he was one of my like battle rap heroes kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty cool to battle him, and that was kind of just the luck of the draw as well, where there was a team it was for the tournament, 2-on-2 tournament, and there was a team that backed out last second, and me and ATM and I were kind of I think we were like the third or fourth option that other people couldn't do it.
Right,
so we came in, and then just by the luck of the draw, I think they drew names, and we got paired up with Soul Khan and Dirtbag Dan.
That's such a great battle too.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. My dad also wrote those rhymes. Well, my uncle helped him. My uncle wrote ATM's part.
So you guys were really great. And honestly, I've never seen a solo ATM battle. But I really liked him as well, man. Yeah, he's good. I don't know if it doesn't seem like he's still battling anymore though.
No, it doesn't seem like him back. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Soul Khan's not battling anymore. Dirtbag Dan's not battling anymore.
Yeah, I'm really the only one that hasn't moved on. Doesn't have anything else going on, I guess. No, I'm just kidding.
Now that can't be true, right? Because I saw KOTD posted a thing yesterday asking who the fans want to see Carter Deems battle. So I'm assuming that you're going to be on.
Is that true?
Yeah. That's true. And of course, everyone's like K-Rock, something like that. But I assume that we'll be seeing you on World Dom Decade. Yeah, man, you haven't had a whole lot of battles this year. It looks like it was just one with Ronnie, right?
Yeah, I battled Ronnie earlier this year at the Comedy Store in LA. But besides that, I've just been I went on an internet date, and now I have a girlfriend, so that's cool.
Congrats.
Been watching a lot of Jeopardy.
Staying busy, right.
Yeah. I said earlier, I haven't moved on, but I got a pretty busy life. I've been doing a lot. I watch Jeopardy. I watch Jeopardy every day, and I'm actually T-bowing it today. But I keep score. I have notebooks filled with numbers of scores play along. But
well, we need to get you on that show, man.
I try it out. Yeah, I try it out. I'm just not good at it. They have like an online tryout every year. But yeah, hopefully I get on. But to the, hopefully I get a battle going at some point.
There's a lot of people fans would like to see you battle against, and I think that's kind of the thing. You have a very loyal fan base, I would say. Like, your fans are not regular battle rap fans. They're like, they live and die Carter Deems, I'm a huge Carter Deems fan, and that's what was so wild about seeing this battle with you and Illmac, because I'd never, again, I wasn't familiar with you until I saw this, and your style is just completely different than anyone else in battle rap. that I immediately I texted my friend and I was like, who is Carter Deems? Like, where did he come from? How did this happen? How does he exist in battle rap? And he was just like, Carter's hilarious. And I think I've seen every one of your battles now.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no,
that was very nice. That was you're making me blush over here. That was very nice.
No,
she could if she could call my mom and tell her all this thing, that'd be cool. She could just go, hey, he's a good guy. Carter's a great guy.
Right. It makes a lot of people happy.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. My parents actually support my battles so that's really cool. I shouldn't.
So what's funny about that? I remember seeing at one of, I don't know if it was the Blackout event or something like that, but it was during the pay-per-view. I think you were talking with Dirtbag Dan or something, and you said, like, yeah, my dad's like watching this right now. And I just thought that was so wild, You've been known to kind of throw jokes in your battles about your parents and your parents finding out that you battle rap. So it was funny to hear them actually supporting you. But I do feel like had I used that against you, or at least as an angle in your battle.
Yeah, I think that was the last battle my dad watched, actually.
And I scared him,
Well, I didn't scare him. He just kind of, he looked straight into the camera, and it was almost like everything else melted away, and he was just staring right at my dad. It was pretty uncomfortable.
Right. Oh, my, yeah. And it's had ice. I mean, he does that to, the regular street dudes, and it's scary. So, yeah, that is pretty wild. But, so, sorry, we went off on a bit of a tangent there, but how did the Illmac battle get set up?
All right, so it was kind of a little similar to what happened with SoulCon. It seems like a week before.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what event was that? Back to the Basics, I believe.
Yep.
Back to the Basics one.
Yeah.
And I was at this club in LA, and I was living in Fresno at the time. Just living it up out in the streets of Fresno, and I battled a few times that year, and I guess I forget who Immaculate was supposed to battle, but someone dropped out at the last second, and so a week before the event, they asked me if I would battle Immaculate, and I think it was again a thing of just like people dropping out and no one else couldn't get anyone else to battle, and so I. Jeopardy rerun, Jeopardy was just showing reruns that week, so I was like, sure, I can hop in. So I took a week, and then, they said, like, it's going to be unlimited rounds and, time limits, no time limits, and so I had a week to write. I wanted to do about 5 minutes per round because I knew he would be bringing longer rounds, and so I wrote, 3 5-minute rounds, and I was also at a work conference that week. I had to go to a work conference, and so I was in the conference for like 10 hours a day, and then I went back to my hotel room and I wrote 3 rounds in like 4 days or 3 days, 4 days. I was still writing, so I take that back. I was actually writing up until about 3 hours before the battle, my third round.
Oh my God!
Third round, about 3 hours on the way. The ride from Fresno to LA. I was riding with my friend Essam, who is an incredible battle rapper as well. Yeah. And I was going over my rounds. I had 0 memorized, pretty much because I finished the first, second, and part of the third round. I finished writing them the Friday night before. Woke up Saturday morning, we headed to LA, and I practiced those rounds, and then he helped me write the rest of the third round. So probably finished wrote like half of the third round on the way there. and then memorized it, and then that was the one I ended up choking on, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on.
So,
you know.
So it was kind of a while. It was, but I mean, Immaculate also only had that amount of time to prepare too. So.
But you know, that's so wild. I mean, you're not going up against a no-name guy. You're going up against Immaculate. This is the biggest look, you know, you had had. And so that right there, even if you were well prepared, it would still be nerve-wracking. That's what I don't know. Do you think that in a weird way kind of helped the battle? Like if you were there totally prepared and had been sitting and waiting to battle Illmac for 3 months, do you think the battle would have come out differently?
I don't know, because I usually wait till about a week before the battles anyway to write.
Really?
But well, it's not really out of a thing of like, oh, I can, you know, I have faith in my writing skills. It's basically just a thing of being lazy. But I think it could have been different. Because honestly, I almost didn't take. I almost not out of like, oh, I don't want to battle Immaculate. It was almost out of fear that I wouldn't be able to, you know, be ready. Because since I had to go to like a work meeting with a lady named Janice, and we had a rental car and stuff. That's for real. So you know, it was like I couldn't really tell any. You know, I was actually trying to write rhymes like during the conference too. I feel like I was taking notes and just like, but instead of taking notes about the PowerPoint, I was writing like short person jokes,
right,
about another man.
Well, that is a great segue to start into this second round, because the first line of your second round is, I remember like watching this battle and pausing it and like running to the other room and saying to my wife, you know, this battle rapper just started a round that said, I own a microwave that's the same color as a microwave. That's the same color as light blue. Like, that is like, no one does that. Like, no, it was so
There's a reason that no one does that. I feel like.
So unique that I love it. And I feel like this is a totally different conversation, but I'd love to like pick your brain someday about like how you got into the scene, because you just being so different. I mean, you go back and watch your grind time battles, you feel like, okay, you're going to get killed. It doesn't matter. You stick out like a sore thumb, but you win over every crowd, and it is amazing to watch. So anyways, that's a whole different conversation, but I give you a lot of credit for being you throughout this whole thing. But anyway, yeah. Tell me about I own a microwave that's the same color as a microwave that's the same color as light blue. Like, where does something like that even come up in your mind from?
I mean, I usually don't brag about things too much, so this was kind of out of character for me, bragging about my microwave. A lot of people, you know, say, oh, you know, rappers, they exaggerate their rhymes, and I tried not to, but this time I was like, you know what, I'm going to brag about having a microwave. No, my microwave, actually, I do have one. Well, I have one right now. It's white. So I know it's like giving a peek behind the curtain to all my fan out there. So my loyal fan, thanks, dude.
Hey,
Jeremy.
Don't you have a rhyme in one of your battles where you're like, in my refrigerator, I have a grape that's the size of a grape, something like that? I swear to God you do.
Yeah, I think I may have said something like that. That's pretty bad. That's a pretty terrible line. I think that's just kind of lazy, but
I love it, man. I love it. Okay, so you say
when I write, so I usually so I took that again with the rhyme scheme. So I think I had I forget what punchline with the light, in the same scheme as light blue, and then I just kind of write all the schemes I can think that rhyme with that in that rhyme scheme, and then I kind of fill in the blanks. And so I knew there was a light blue rhyme, so I just had to figure out a way to fit it in there. Because I do know editing. I take like a decent, maybe average 4-bar scheme and stretch it out into a 32-bar scheme that causes some people to leave the room. So
So no, that's a really unique thing about you though. Is like you'll like take a word. So in this case, we'll say same color as light blue. I don't use it anymore because it electrocuted me, and the light's blue. So it's a different way of the word blue. And that's kind of a common thing that we see with your writing where it's like you take the same word and you use the different variations on that word and you use like every single one of them and you keep going. So do you kind of find words and put them together? Or like how does it go kind of structuring around? Is it random bars kind of come to you throughout the day? Or do you sit down and you're just like, I'm just going to keep writing until this round is finished? Or is it more just like, here are things that remind me of Illmac, and these are different concepts I got to kind of work on?
Yeah, honestly, there's zero structure, and every time I have no idea what I'm doing, and before every battle, I'm like, I feel like I've never done it before, and I'm like, well, what am I trying to do here? But I'm really bad at kind of sitting down and writing, coherent punchlines, punchlines that actually apply to who I'm battling. I've always loved words and puzzles and stuff, so I will if I hear a rhyme scheme or a word I like, because I love trying to push, with as many syllables as I can, so I like to get quadruple rhyme schemes in there, and before I ever have any, like with Immaculate, it was kind of rushed, but I would, came up with some somewhat punchline, and I would say that rhyme scheme, and then I would just write a list and exhaust the entire list of everything I can think that rhymes with that word, and then it's almost like Mad Libs, and I just fill in the blanks that way and try to turn those words into punchlines instead of the other way around. And that's kind of how I write for each battle. I would just come up with maybe 20 different rhyme schemes that I haven't used before and try to think of maybe proper nouns. I try to start with proper nouns first.
Sure.
And then try to come up with a punchline with that proper noun and then write as many words as I can think that rhyme with that and then just fill in the blanks in between each rhyming word. Sorry, that was very boring. Came out very boring.
No. That is exactly what I'm trying to get to. And I think your fans are going to find it fascinating too, just because the style is so unorthodox. It's kind of like, well, how does he do that? Like, what's going on in that brain, to make that happen? So
another thing I'll do, so like with writing, because I do stand up as well, and with writing jokes or rhymes or whatever bars. Sometimes I'll go, there's a thing called a random word generator, which everybody knows about, but the random word generator, and it'll bring up 8 words, and so I'll try to write, either 8 jokes with each word or joke per word, or I'll try to write, a 16-bar scheme using that rhyme scheme of that word, or, I'll take a dictionary and, close my eyes and just, point to it. And these are the reasons that I'm alone on most Friday nights.
That is amazing, though.
That's kind of the way I do it, because my real life is boring, so I just have to, figure out things to kind of spark that.
Right. No, that is amazing to me. Okay, so you're doing the whole light blue scheme. So obviously the word, when you say light blue, one of the things that rhyme with that is like you. So anyway, so you say electrocuted me and the light's blue. I went to the Facebook page and liked it just so I could go back and unlike you. So okay, so I can imagine, you're sitting there, you're like, what rhymes with light's blue, like you? How do you come up with the funny thing of going to someone's Facebook page, liking them just to unlike them? Like, where does that come from?
I think I'd heard someone honestly say that in a conversation one time. It wasn't like a joke or anything. I heard someone say, I wish there was an unlike button.
Okay.
And so I remembered that, hearing that just in a conversation or something. And so, I thought about just saying, hey man, I like you, but I thought that would be funnier to kind of flip it around and, come from the converse, because I usually try to be nice, and then, I thought it'd be funnier to be kind of fake mean.
Right from there, then it's like, you want to fight, dude? Well, I'll split his wig like Dwight Schrute.
I mean, it's kind of embarrassing now going back through this round. I'm like, oh man, I should have written better stuff. But no, I mean, I don't know, and you know, it's hard for me to actually write things that pertain to my opponent or whatever. But I do like I love punchline rappers, so just grow, you know. I didn't really listen to a lot of rap in high school or anything, but once I got to college, I really got into rap, and when I was like, you know, 18, 19, and Lil Wayne is always, I know people have like their opinions, but Lil Wayne has always been my favorite as far as like punchlines go. Was really simple, but just kind of poignant punchlines, and so I try to sneak those in, and by no way, in no way am I comparing myself to Lil Wayne. Although I wonder why people hate on the Carter for.
Bars.
So I like to put those in there. But I mean, I can't compete with the actual punchline rappers like QP, or you know, I can't battle rappers. I can't scheme with those kind of guys, but I try to every once in a while.
Are there certain writers or battlers that you really like that you would consider your favorites?
For me, it's QP, quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
Before every battle, or you know, like if I haven't battled him in a while and I got a battle coming up, I'll just like binge watch all of his battles. I think I've watched and he has a ton of battles. I think I've watched every one of his battles at least once. And he battles like twice, 3 times a month.
Yeah.
So, to me, he's the best writer in battle rap. He developed that entire Conceited.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was the guy there before. I mean, you know, him and Conceited kind of started at the same time.
Sons, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think they started together. QP is kind of the you know, the father of this whole scheme style. I mean, of course, there were people, you know, before that, but in the modern battle rap era, he was kind of the one that really took it to this ridiculous level where every other word is like a mini punchline within the actual punchline.
I got a quick question for you. Have you seen his battle versus Young Cannon?
Actually, I was there.
Oh, no way.
Building. Yeah, that was in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah, it was in Milwaukee. Yeah, Black Ice. Yeah, I should have thought of that.
I rode my bike there, actually. It was like, I'm not kidding. Yeah, it was, I live in the neighborhood. It was less than a mile away, and I was actually, I run a radio show, and the radio station was down the street, on the same street. So I just, like, in between, right before, like, I went and watched, and then I did my radio show, and then came back and watched QP versus Young Cannon.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that was his second round in that, which we're kind of going off topic, but his second round versus Young Cannon is probably my favorite battle rap round ever. And it's definitely the best of this year, and I got to see it in person, so that was really cool.
So that was going to be my question, because we reviewed it on this podcast, and the question was, how much of that second round is freestyle? Because you know, he keeps the shoe thing going for so long that you're like, well, this can't be freestyle. This is like his whole battle. But on the other hand, it's how does he know what Young Cannon's going to be wearing?
Right.
Either way, it's hilarious and definitely one of the best rounds of the year.
Have you ever? I don't know if you've ever met QP or talked to him.
No.
But so in real life he talks in schemes. So for real, like I met him the first time, and there was some, like, I met him, and, you know, I just walked around the corner, and he's standing there, and told him I was a big fan, and he was like, when I see AR, that T put him in the ER, like, he just schemed off my name, something like that. And
that is wild.
And then he just did, like, a cat scheme off the top of his head.
Of course.
I mean, there was no way, you know, he didn't know I was walking around, and and then I kind of heard him in conversation, and he talks in schemes, and even if you like watch some of his battles, like his battle versus Fresco put a punchline, and he'll QP it won't be a rebuttal, but he'll just be talking like just like an offhand comment, and it'll still be in a scheme pertaining to what Fresco just said. but it'll be like hidden in there, and it's nuts. And so I can't. He's one of those guys where it is tough to kind of. Usually I can tell like 100% what a freestyle is and what's not.
Right.
And
him, it's hard to do.
He did have a round on his shoes, but I feel like he probably added. I can't say for sure, but I would say he probably added like the first 8 bars that were more specific.
Yeah.
But the thing is too with that stuff is like his like say when he's like like the first 4 bars of that, I forget what the rhyme scheme was, but then in the second like 8 bars, so he still rhymed the first word of that new scheme with the last word of the first scheme. So it's like very intricate, but still it like pertained exactly. I mean, because Young Cannon was wearing like the Nike pennies, and he like references that when he's like everyone is aware,
right?
And it was pretty nuts. So I think it was, if not freestyle on the spot, he may have seen his shoes, like an hour before.
Yeah,
he kind of schemed it.
Threw it together.
He's to me he's a genius. Just the way his brain works is pretty incredible. But it also it'd probably be a burden to see the world like that.
to see the world in schemes and associated wordplay, and yeah, man, oh my God, it would be crazy.
Yeah, he's like Russell Crowe in like A Beautiful Mind or something.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like Thesaurus is he's another one of my favorites. Is the same way with his freestyles. It's almost like he sees rap in like ones and zeros.
Yeah, right.
Not in the way that we actually see it.
Right.
Which I mean as a compliment.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, dude. Yeah.
As a compliment.
No, and to be at the top, man, I think you have to almost see things in a different way. If you rap long enough, do it for long enough, that eventually your brain just starts forming, and you just start thinking in rhyme patterns, and you can't turn it off.
I'm the same way with puns. So doing that, like becoming obsessed with puns, is like the easiest way to lose all of your friends. Be in like a conversation, and like 2 minutes later I'll come up, I'll say a pun that maybe relates to something that someone said they had for lunch or something.
Right.
No. Start talking about QP, but he's definitely one of my favorites.
He's fantastic, man. He is fantastic. All right, let me jump back into this real quick. So let's say, this is great. He's light like the sun, so I'll sun this night, dude, like high noon. I had my share of tough times too. I had a ponytail in high school. Oh my God, dude, that line was hilarious. That was just hilarious. The whole ponytail in high school thing. I remember that being a pretty big haymaker in the room there. I rocked the snapback with a hole in the back, and I put my ponytail right through. But I thought it was tight, dude. Hairspray and a scrunchie. I kept it tight, dude. Just the whole idea of a battle rapper having a ponytail at one point is funny, but then you gotta then you got him putting it through his hat and having a scrunchie on it.
Yeah, with the ponytail lines, I don't know why I came. I've always just thought ponytail. I won't lie. I was lying about bragging about having a ponytail or whatever. I didn't have a ponytail. I went to a Christian school, so we had to cut our hair the way Jesus wants it. Which I think Jesus had a ponytail though.
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did.
The Jesus I worship had a ponytail. No, I'm just kidding. No, so it was like 2 weeks before that battle, I was at one of Essam's shows, which he's like one of my him and Laughing Stalker, two of my good friends outside of battle rap as well.
Yeah.
But Essam had a show, and so I went to watch him, and there was like a 50-year-old man at his show wearing not even a snapback. It was like a really soft baseball cap, like the ones that they give away for free at Microsoft,
yeah,
at like job fairs or something. And he had his ponytail like this really. It was like it looked wet, but you could tell it was hairspray, and it was very curly, and it was through the hole in the back of his hat. And I just thought that was really funny, so I wrote it down. And we like made jokes about it. I feel bad now making fun of it. I mean, gotta respect that. It's dedication. But so it is. I wrote that line, and then I like writing to the battle. So I was going over my rounds with Essam, and he was reading them out loud off my notebook paper when I would forget them, and he would just like repeat them back to me. I would repeat them back to him. And I had that line about a ponytail in high school, but I didn't have anything about the snapback, and so he remembered when we saw that. And he added that part. He added that part, so that was like an hour before the battle, probably.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Kind of just snuck that in. So
anyway,
that's I'm fucking getting boring and
no, dude, believe me, you are not at all. And I actually love those little stories of like where bars come from and things like that because I mean that is the whole purpose of this episode, is to find out like where these bars actually come from, how battlers do it, how they come up with these lines. So that's exactly what we're going for, man. Watching season 5 of Reba, that's what you do. And start twitching when I get around girls. That's what my eyes do. But I'm so dedicated to the block. 2 years ago, I looked the streets in the eyes and I said, I do. How many lamps do I own? 10. That's 5 twos.
That is awful. I forgot I wrote that.
That is one of my favorite lines in the whole battle. I mean, it really is. But I get it though. It's it's the I do 5-2. You keep going with the 5-2. Man, I love it, man. I hope you hit a growth spurt and get to 5-2. So I'm gonna keep going with this just for a second. 7 is my favorite number in the world, but I kind of like 5-2. Okay, so that whole thing with the 5-2s there, that's like that's kind of like what you were talking about earlier, right? Of like taking same words but using them in different ways. Yeah.
Take them and then eventually to where it becomes nothing, and that last it means nothing.
Yeah. That's amazing. And then you just go, you can't handle my thighs, dude. The heat's going straight over his head. That's how a crow flies. Nah, the heat's going straight over her head. That's a blow dry. I'm so high. I always wanted to meet you, so hi. That's so great. Oh my!
I forgot I wrote some of this stuff.
When you like wrote that out, like, are you imagining in your head? Because something like that, I mean, especially with something like that, with the pause being so like kind of off kilter comedy, are you worried that it's just going to fail horribly, or in your head, do you know that the crowd's going to eat it up?
No, I know almost every time that it's going to fail horribly. I'm not good at editing my stuff or like being like, okay, I need to do some quality control. I just throw it all in there and then hope some of it sticks and some of it doesn't. And luckily, like with battle rap, you can bomb, I mean, but at least you have like the next line to pick back up or you can just kind of keep going. Whereas in, stand up, you kind of, if you're doing a joke and it just kind of dies on its own, you don't really have anything to fall back on.
Right.
But I do have jokes in battle raps too, where you're, in your mind, you think you're going to get a good reaction and nothing happens. So I pretty much prepare for that, and I know much. Hearing you read back my bars, I'm like, yeah, this is way worse than I remember it being. I'm not saying that like as I'm not saying that as trying to get or being all trying to get compliments or whatever. It's just like I really kind of stretched it out too much.
No, man, this to me is like vintage Carter, where just like, Carter is in his bag in this one, So we're getting up to one of the biggest lines ever. Okay, so I know I'm one of the old guys, but I'm one of the up and comers like Joe and I'm so fly that I took this battle on 1 week prep, and I'm not talking about the gun rapper with a bow tie. That's a hard bar too, man. That's true, right? It was 1 week prep. No lies. Smack, I should be the one that's headlining Nome 5. But for real. But this dude's pretty awesome too, for real. And then you give Illmac the high five. I've always wanted to give a Nome 5. Can you tell me about that line now? There's no way. I don't care how many like different scenarios you had in your head when you were practicing this. I'm sure you knew that would be a big haymaker, but nothing could have prepared you for what happened. Because that is maybe the biggest haymaker I've ever seen in battle rap. Like, like people were losing their minds or stopping their feet.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't think. I mean, I was like, this is pretty funny. I'll put it in here, but I put it in the middle of my second round, which I usually do what I think my weaker round is. I usually put it as the second round. And I didn't expect it at all. Like, I didn't think, it's not even in that scheme. It's not even the last. I don't think it's the last one in that scheme. I think it's even like the second one because I think I keep that scheme going for a couple more. And so I thought it would get reaction, but I didn't think it was going to get reaction like that. And also I didn't know if he would actually high-five me. I didn't know if it would translate into kind of that trickster. I don't know. I just didn't know how it was going to go over. And it really wasn't something that I thought of. I didn't really give thought to it getting more reaction than anything else. Yeah, so it was a huge shock to me, honestly. So my reaction, I kind of play it up, but my reaction really was authentic, where I'm just like, I don't. And trust me, I watch this like every day. I'm like, yeah, I was awesome. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't expect it at all, to be honest.
No, and that's so funny because Immaculate knows right away how big of a line that is, and he just starts going, it's over. Like I already lost.
Well,
he starts his next round saying, it's already over, and you keep apologizing. I love that.
Yeah, well, because I didn't know it was going to be a huge punchline, but when I saw him, like, kind of go for the high five, I was already like, oh, man, this is mean. I shouldn't be doing this. Because I hate when people come up to you and try to give you a high five and they slip their hand back and they get you. I feel like that was kind of the same. That was like the lyrical version of that.
He walked right into it. He had no idea. He walked right into it, but he loved it though, man. And that's one of the greatest moments.
Well, we're friends too, so it was all in good fun.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy. All right, so let me just finish this up. So you go, I've already hit him in the head with 10 punches, and I owe him 5. If you said my cat was 4 years old, he'd look up to you and say, no, I'm 5. Where did the cat thing come from? Like, did that start with the Joe Cutter battle, or was that going on before then?
So I started out in grind time, doing grind time battles, and I took some time off, and I went to law school. Mm-hmm. And when I was in law school, me and my roommate and I, we adopted a cat named Cornbread, and so my roommate, we just like would rap about our cat. And he said his name was like Young Cat Hoarder. That's where the Young Cat Hoarder came out of. And so I just thought that was hilarious. So I started writing raps about cornbread, and that just kind of when I moved to California, I adopted another cat, Tina Turner, and then we. And so I just thought it was like a hilarious thing. I wasn't trying to like become a cat rapper. I just thought it was a hilarious thing to take something, and same with the microwaves, like take something that's so mundane or whatever, and then just brag about it to the point of absurdity. To brag about it like it's, money, or like it's a mountain of money, or like, a brand new car or something. Just brag about that, and it just kind of took off way more than I expected. With the cat thing.
So no, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, you had the whole cat thing against Lex D, which is another one of your classic battles. Man, that is a fantastic battle there.
That was my first battle after I graduated law school.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So you battle Real Talk at Grind Time now, and then a few years off, you come back to Ground Zero. Okay. So then you've ever stopped Carter? Before I go too far today, I cut fiber out of my diet. I'm down to 2 parts a day. You think Carter play? Well, I love the streets. I'm with the brass. I harp parades. This dude has the same body type of someone who would be guarding a garden maze. So you bring back the whole Nome thing there. The whole Nome guarding a garden maze. Was that something like? Was that a line that you had already had figured out that you wanted to put in there and kind of built the preceding lines to build up to that? Or did that just kind of naturally fit?
I think it was just something, like they just happened to rhyme within that scheme, and then I just tried to make it fit,
No, that's awesome. Is that one of those things that's like when it happens, you start like smiling to yourself when you come up to it and you're like, oh my God, yeah, this works with the scheme and it's funny because it's like something I can use against my opponent.
Yeah, well, it's like I see, I keep going back to this, I see any of the creative, like with battle rap, I see it, and also in stand-up when I'm writing jokes, it's like a puzzle. And I've always loved puzzles. And so, like the human language, the English language is like a puzzle that has no solution, but also has infinite solutions. Right. So there's, when you unlock these little jewels, it does feel good. And it honestly, it's like when it clicks in your mind, it's almost as good as when you say it out loud and it gets reaction or whatever. So.
God, that sounds amazing. All right, so the last lines are, but for real, my entire life is just one awkward phase. You spent one night in jail, well, I got bars for days. And then you call time. That is a hilarious round, and I think definitely one of your most known rounds, I would say.
Thanks, man. I actually, because it was so last minute, I was practicing all that stuff right before I got there. I actually left off, I think it was like 16 more bars for that round that were within that rhyme scheme.
Okay.
And,
really? Okay.
So I'm trying to remember, I can't remember all of them, but I actually ended up using the second part in my head ice battle. So the one about Mockingjay, which I think rhymes, with bars for days, kinda. And then so I have that scheme in the head ice battle where it's like, I'm the hottest cat in this. I'm not talking about Mockingjay.
I swallow the wedding ring and throw the diamond up like I'm Mockingjay. Oh my God, that is an amazing line.
Yeah, that's
Mockingjay. Oh my God, right.
So I had some stuff that's like bombs away, and I think I rhymed Roy Holiday in there, and holidays. I just totally blanked and left it out, which I was glad later because then it gave me something to put in, I guess, head ice. But so that's why I think, if I remember right, it seems kind of like I kind of end the round awkwardly or kind of stopped.
Yeah. I think you kind of like laugh and kind of call time. But I mean, everyone gets it though too. I mean, come on, that's a really short period of time. I don't know how you can memorize a battle like that on such short notice. I remember Big T saying like writing battle isn't nearly as hard as having to memorize it.
I think they're both really, really hard for me.
Right.
But the least fun part, I guess, is the way I would say is the least fun part is the memorizing. I love the writing part. Even though I am a terrible procrastinator, I do love when I sit down and I love that. Just like trying to figure that puzzle out. That's a lot more fun. The memorizing is just painful and just you get to the point where you hate everything that you've written.
Right.
You just keep saying it over and over.
Right.
Not to go off too far again, and I don't know what you got going on. Maybe I have to wrap it up, but I have nothing to do for the next 8 days. So if you wanted to, I end up choking in that third round. I actually do choke pretty badly, and my friend Pete is in the crowd, and I think I told him before the battle, I was like, I don't know. I think we talked, and I was like, I just finished these. I hope I don't choke or whatever. And so when I started choking, he just starts clapping, and he starts like cheering for me, and it was like he pretty much saved me because a lot of times, when people choke, you start hearing some rumblings in the crowd or whatever.
Yeah.
Or even straight out boos. And so he saved me big time with that.
Well, I think the crowd was really behind you too. I think everyone wanted to kind of see what else you had up your sleeve. And I mean, you had the whole checks, pocket checks thing, which was amazing in there. And you definitely had a lot of fans in the crowd that night. So there was no way anyone was going to boo you. You know what I mean? And again, I think everyone understood the circumstance. So, they lent some leeway there. And then wasn't it the beginning of your battle when Dizaster and Billy Boondocks are getting in the fight on the rooftop?
Yeah, you can see it. I think it's like maybe a minute into my round or something. I remember I was rapping and I just just like an earthquake from above my head happened. And that was pretty that was really surreal and very scary. It seemed like somebody was like something. I thought, I don't know what had happened, but it seemed like something was about to fall through the roof, and that something was Billy Boondocks. So hope he's doing okay.
You could tell Organic looks noticeably nervous for like the rest of that whole battle.
Because we had to stop the battle, and then I think we went back. I think I repeated my, tried to get it back, so they made me repeat like my first 4 bars before it started. And so, it was, I don't think, it doesn't show that. I think they edited that out, but it's like we paused I think we paused for like a 10 or 15 minute
Wow,
break
really?
To like figure out what was going on, yeah, so.
Damn. Well, Carter, I'm going to have to call, they're calling time here, but thank you so much for taking the time, and this was great. I'd love to do something like this again. It's a lot of fun for me to be able to pick your brain, and I know a lot of people are going to really enjoy this as well. Thank you. How can people reach you?
678-431. I'm just kidding.
That's like, wow.
Yeah, I'm like Mike Jones. I'm on Facebook, Carter Deems. Also, that was my real phone number up until the last 3 digits. So I feel like if you know algorithms and stuff, you can figure that out. Carter Deems on Facebook. On Twitter, it's at Vegetarian Arms. On Instagram, at Vegetarian Arms. And on Tinder, I am not on Tinder anymore. I have a girlfriend now. I don't know if I'm missing that. Gmail, CarterDanielDeans@gmail.com. What else? LinkedIn, Carter Deems. So if anybody want to give me a job, let's see. I think that's the only way to get in touch with me.
That's a lot, though.
Oh, Carter. Also, I started a website because a podcast tricked me into buying a Squarespace. So CarterDeems.com.
Awesome. I didn't know that you had your own website. That's great.
I just started. Well, I've had it for like a year. I couldn't figure out Squarespace, and so I was like, I've been paying on this. Like Pete Holmes taught me, tricked me into buying a Squarespace on his website on his podcast. So I use it basically primarily for my stand-up stuff, but I'll put all my schedule. But also, if I ever have a battle, I'll put it on my schedule there too. So that's kind of CarterDeems.com is kind of where I put all my upcoming shows and stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time, and we'll be in touch. We're gonna have to do this again.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right. See you, Carter.
All right. See ya. Later.